All right, fellas, we are live. How we doing? Chuck and Moose, thank you for joining us for our 50th stream of the off season. BBM's at 95% full. It's going to fill. I feel like it's definitely filling Saturday, if not before Saturday, maybe early Saturday morning. But
Yeah.
we're going to do a BBM. Moose, how we feeling? We got less than or I guess 1 week left in draft season.
Yeah, I think roughly that. I need to hammer out some more drafts. I had some personal stuff come up that kind of hindered the amount of drafts that I could enter. But I've been doing a lot more slow drafts recently. I like the 4 hour time limit. I don't really like the 8 hours. It just takes too long. I just want to get in and get drafting. Um, but yes, I am pretty much a little bit less where I want to be, but I'll be where I want to be. Hammering out these last few Best Ball Manias. I absolutely cannot wait.
Yeah, actually, thanks for mentioning slow draft. I just realized I had 2 minutes left in a slow draft on Underdog. They lowered the clock to 4 hours, which is manageable, but the other site is 2 hours now, and I have to. My sleep schedule is gone.
Real quick, it looks like for your Twitter tag, it still has Chris's tag. If you want to go ahead and change it.
I'll go ahead and change that. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get that in, and then.
But yeah, so let me go ahead and pull up one of these Best Ball Manias here. I was going to say we should have done something chaotic, like for the 50th stream, we all get together and try and draft 50 at a time, 50 fast drafts.
Oh man, that would have been a good one. I probably could knock it out in like 4 hours.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever remember like the old poker days. You'd have like 8 screens of sit and goes or tournaments going on at the same time. And it's like
I'd have 2 monitors with 8
Yeah.
games on each monitor, and then at peak times I'd have to even have like 10 on a screen and have to have it super weird, and it's just making quick decisions. But there was training for making quick best ball decisions, trying to multi-draft.
Yeah,
So.
just 10 years in the making. So got the 3 pick here. I actually saw. I wanted to tell you about this. Waleed, who's our co-founder here, he's been doing a lot of the FFPC main events, and I think he just did one now. And CD went to 3 because it was CMC, and then Brees Hall went second. Which
I've seen it. I mean, I don't hate it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems kind of a stretch, but maybe I can get CD at the 3 slot here.
I don't think I've taken anyone but CD, CMC, or Tyreek in the top 3.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going with here. Going with Tyreek as well. So go ahead and just kick that off.
So I'm already thinking ahead, because one of the things I wanted to discuss with you today was some of the players that we can target in these last few BBMs that maybe weren't drafted for most of the contest. And one of the guys I'm thinking about, Malik Washington, wasn't drafted in every draft since you took Tyreek. And I just feel like he's a pretty decent handcuff that I want to take a little bit more of. Have you been thinking about him at all?
Yeah, I the last time that we were on the show together, I talked about just drafting different players and just trying to get weird combos, even if I'm chasing Browns or just picking players that I never even thought about taking. He's a guy I have a few of, but if I look, I have it written down here, which I wanted to talk about. So yeah, I'm just getting to a lot of different random players, just in case of I have some cores that I'm trying to get with drafting, and I'm just hoping that if they make it, I'll have 4 or 5 different lineups with this core, and just like random people that hopefully one of them get through.
Yep. That's how I'm looking at it. This last week, I'm getting my guys, and then if there's value, cool. That's the differentiator here.
Absolutely, yeah. Now I wanted to say, I was talking to Waleed as well, and I was talking about some of the exposures that I have, and I didn't realize this, but when you factor in the dollar amount for some of the contests, uh, my highest exposed player is Ray Davis.
Okay, how does that feel?
It feels pretty gross, but I like it.
So how did that happen? Did you just take him in a couple of the higher buy-ins and just?
Yeah. So it was like the one, I think it was $100 contest that I had him in, and in a BBM, and so then it doesn't matter if I did $53 ones. So.
Well, so your percentage is still below 8 on him though.
No, it's a lot more. Like overall, like raw number, in contest percentage, less than 8%. Yeah,
Okay.
but
Okay.
in terms of dollar amount,
Yeah.
he's the highest.
So
Yeah.
this is a concept that I got from Liam Murphy. He won BBM two, I think.
Okay.
But like a player that you're fading in your portfolio of a bunch of drafts, you can take him, let's say, in one higher dollar, and that kind of hedges it a little bit. Where if you're wrong on a fade and they end up being really good, like you have that at least
Yeah.
in your bag in that higher buy-in, and it actually ended up winning him one of the like $1,000
Mm,
buy-ins or 555s, whatever, the following year after he won BBM.
that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting strategy to think about. Where it's like, if it's really quick, I'm on clock now. We talked about Ayuk in a staff chat. I like him. I think he should be a lot higher. Any objection to me picking him?
No, not at all. My thing is like I've taken Ayuk at the 13th pick. He was going mid second round
Yeah.
earlier in the summer, and so me being greedy, I'd probably like I might have just taken. Well, you have Tyreek actually, so Ayuk and Kyron I think would have been my targets here. But what I was gonna say was if there was someone I really wanted, like if Nico Collins was still there, I'd take Nico Collins and then try and push Ayuk, thinking that maybe people just aren't up on the news. But
That's possible. Yeah, and maybe Kyron still falls, but yeah, yeah, it's an interesting strategy to think about. Where it's like, if there's some of these guys, it's like, man, I don't necessarily want to have to draft them in like 10 straight $10 contests or whatever. It's like, I'll just pick them if I like the person, and it's like I'll pick them in a high dollar contest just to get some exposures to them. And look, Kyron fell to us, so let's go ahead and get him. But yeah, so it's an interesting way to think. I think with best ball and as many different contests and as many different sites that offer it, uh, the way to calculate your exposure isn't just one way, and you have to be able to just be comfortable with different ways of having your exposure and just trying to do it that way. If there's a guy you really like, I think, and you want to get him over 8% and more dollar amount, that really shows that you really like that guy. If you do just one or the other, then it means that maybe you kind of like the guy, maybe you just fell into him a couple times. But if your dollar amount and your percentage amount align, then that's the way to go.
I'm looking at my overall drafts across all three sites, and my top four highest exposed guys are also my high forest money. But then after that, it changes quite a bit.
Nice. I think my highest exposed in terms of percentage is, I think it's Joe Mixon. I think
Oh,
Joe
wow.
Mixon, and yeah, he's up there with that. I was just I had it sorted by dollar amount. I know he's up there. I drafted him in a handful of BBMs and a larger contest. Just I like him. I like the Houston offense, and maybe that's the wrong. I this slowly as we got to the season, closer we get to the season, I feel more gross about that, especially where he is in ADP. But um, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, right?
Yes. I don't want to
Take
move
stands.
off this topic, but Joe Mixon, your highest exposed guy, I had like a lot of situations yesterday. He was falling, and I was still
Yeah.
clicking like David Montgomery and James Conner over him a couple times. I don't know. I took a few minutes to look into it, and I got kind of nervous about he him losing checkdowns, which isn't that much, especially over on Underdog. But I mean, should I be drafting Joe Mixon at ADP?
I think so. The What's kind of weird to me is you have actually a lot of good people around him. So it's not like, yeah, I really like Joe Mixon, but yeah, I also pretty much like everyone else in that category around him.
Hmm.
Keenan Allen, Kittle, Godwin, even Stroud as QB. Like a lot of that kind of, if I'm really in on the Houston offense, I am taking Stroud as well, and it's hard for me to get Stroud and Mixon at their current ADP unless I
Yeah.
reach for it.
Yeah, that's because for me, it's like, yeah, you said Keenan Allen and Chris Godwin are often there, and I feel like I can take one of them and draft a running back in the 100 range, and
Yeah,
they're probably going to score less than Joe Mixon, but I don't think I can find a receiver even close to Keenan Allen and Chris Godwin's potential.
exactly. Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where I clicked it. Maybe because I also have been pretty unlucky. Still, I think I have yet to have through 60 drafts a one or a two. So which is
Wow.
just
Wow.
nuts. So
Wow.
I still have zero CMC. I have one share of CD, um, and it's like a smack ton of Tyreek, Amon Ra, all this stuff like that. So I think because I have a lot of these uh, elite. Oh, let me just go ahead and pick here. Any pick here? I picked the first three pretty much.
I'm at the point in the summer where I kind of flip a coin. I have the most of Amari, but I'm so indifferent at this point.
Perfect. I was thinking Amari as well, so we'll go with him. And yeah, I think because of the unluckiness that I've had, and I do a lot of no early running back builds. Or at least that's what I was doing back then. And so Joe Mixon kind of just fell into that slot where it's like, okay, yeah, I have 4 or 5 wide receivers. I really need to take a running back here. And Joe Mixon kind of fit that bill.
I get that. Yeah.
Let's see here. And so coming back up, uh, these group of running backs, I really don't like, and I don't have too much exposure to them. Um, I was going to go someone like Calvin Ridley, unless you have any objection.
I'm looking at Michael Pittman and Zay Flowers around past ADP. I don't think I could pass up on either one of those, but I can understand if you're going to.
All right, we'll go Zay Flowers.
It's
So
been so
Zay.
hard for me to click on Michael Pittman.
It really has, man. I when you saw Anthony Richardson, and it's just like, yeah, didn't look too good in the preseason. The Bengals were making fun of him in the joint practice, and it's like, that's not a good start.
Teams just bullies, man. Because so my thing was Josh Downs was supposedly their best receiver in camp, right? And then he
Yeah,
got kind of injured. Now he's a super value, and I feel like I'd just rather take him and hope he does it at the end of the season than click on Michael Pittman where he's going.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, talked about the group of wide receivers here. I think they're all pretty comparable to Pittman,
Mhm.
one way or the other. I could see any of them scoring well in that group. So being overexposed to Pittman seems kind of dangerous on my side.
But like, let's say Zay Flowers wasn't there, and you wanted to go with one of those running backs, you could do that, and then. I mean, sometimes Chris Godwin will still be there, but there's still a couple of receivers after Roma Dunes before it gets
Yeah,
really gross.
that's true. Let's see. So we got 13 picks away, and I'm thinking about for the next strategy. Yeah, still got a bunch of people, and I think with ADP being this close to the season, nothing's going to change too dramatically unless we have some crazy changes. Another actually exposed person I had in terms of raw percentage was Elijah Mitchell, which was not good, and that's like 12% of the team's dead.
Elijah Mitchell and CEH. Yeah, they got
Yeah.
us a little bit.
Oh well. Then, but hey, that's why we draft early, so we can do the other way, get some value the other way.
Right. I've gone back and forth on this. And so, what I've been doing lately is I'm just firing up 3, 4 drafts at a time. And I'm drafting all night until I get rooms that are normal, or like I'm drafting
Okay.
with normal people when they start waking up. And I end up getting too tired every night. It's just so I feel like our advance rates in these tournaments, and this was true for me last year, my advance rates in the tournaments closer to the season were and I'm sure a lot of it had to do with hitting on Kyron and Puka, but they were
Yeah.
just absolutely insane, like 40% in some
Absolutely.
contests.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy.
And so we did miss out on ADP value, but we still have more information now.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, let's see here. A couple of these are still kind of fall to us. So we have 4 wide receivers, 1 running back, pretty good running back actually. And for your strategy here, are you still thinking, just for the people that are listening, it's always a tough balance of, you can get so many good wide receivers early, and then do you want to, basically have one good running back? Hopefully, they can carry your team. Get a couple, 2, 3, 4 scrubs afterwards. So, what are you thinking in this spot with a couple picks up on the turn?
So in this specific draft, my hope would be to get George Kittle next because I think he's a little more valuable than any of the receivers on the board right there. If I missed on him, I'd be cool with Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, Brian Thomas, Christian Watson, and then I would hope to get James Conner on your next pick. And then
Okay.
me personally, again, I would plan to take Tony Pollard at the in 2 picks at like around pick 90 or whatever it is.
Okay. Yeah, and yeah, 94. Yeah. Um, that's okay. So Kittle just went. Yeah, I was gonna say, what was it? Maybe he also got picked. Yeah. Richardson, Murray. I haven't been drafting too much of them, just because, uh, again, kind of low on Richardson, and just the other amount of people that are in that kind of ADP group with Kyler Murray. I haven't really been picking him too much, just because I know there's a lot better strategy quarterbacks that I can get later on, or if I pick an elite quarterback early on, I don't want to sacrifice two kind of early quarterbacks. So I'm pretty low on both of them.
Yeah, so it's like with a lot of the other rushing quarterbacks, I'm very comfortable taking him naked. But Anthony Richardson, I'll take him almost every time if I have Michael Pittman, because that means I've got Michael Pittman past ADP. And then
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, I'm really trying to make sure I get him when I draft Marvin Harrison or Trey McBride, because otherwise I'm just
Okay.
never picking him. Like you just said,
Yeah.
I'm taking everyone else in this range over him if I don't have a
Exactly. Yeah.
correlation.
Yeah. So we went with Joe Mixon there because exposure is just a fake number, and let's bump that exposure up a little bit more. I know you talked about James Conner. Um, would you still draft him here to get 3 running backs, or
Uh,
would you go
well,
somewhere else here?
I could go either way. What I was going to say, I've been in the spot a lot with San Francisco player, and then David Montgomery has the Week 17 correlation, but I like James Conner more in a vacuum, and so I've had that debate, and I guess I'm trying to get probably slight lean towards Montgomery for the Week 17, but I want to mix of both. But then I really like Christian Watson in this range too. So if you want another receiver, but
Yeah, let's. I'm a big fan of correlation. I got the correlation sheet on the other screen here. So let's go some D-Mont here, and that'll be a pretty solid running back room. Won't have to take another one for quite a while. And I guess technically got him a little bit past ADP.
yeah, it can probably. I mean, but getting all your running backs past ADP's got to. I mean, your highest exposed guy getting him more than half a round past ADP's got to feel pretty good with how strong of a wide receiver room you have.
Yeah, definitely. And 90 something picks. I know you mentioned Pollard. Um,
It might not be
seems kind of
necessary now.
yeah. I was gonna
Yeah,
say it might not be necessary there. Looking at just some of the other people, a person I've actually been drafting a little bit more, Jaden Daniels.
same.
Yeah, and it seems very easy to stack with him. The way ADP lines up, seems like a lot of the Washington players are just in their own little separate vacuum, and it's just like, yeah, I can just pick them whenever I need to pick them, and pretty easy to stack.
Well, now especially too. I was going to talk about Noah Brown when we got a little later in the draft, but we have a player that I mean, I don't know what confidence we have. We think that he's going to be the wide receiver too, and so we can take Jaden
Yeah,
Daniels naked and still backstack him with him and Ben Snott maybe.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And Noah Brown's only drafted in. I looked it up yesterday. It was like 1 or 3% of BBMs. There's a site that actually has the full information, not just information from my 200 draft sample, whatever. And
okay,
I thought that was pretty cool to go see which players just aren't drafted that often. And there were some players that I thought weren't drafted that often. Like who's the Sam Darnold is actually drafted in
okay,
40% of drafts, so you're actually not getting that big of an advantage
hmm
by thinking that he's going to be a low on player.
yeah, exactly. So that's an interesting strategy to think about, and I don't know if it applies too much to like the other sites that have longer rounds. But here, if you can have a player who's not going to be drafted in 80% of drafts, that's so huge that not only are you overexposed on the field, but you're like getting even more overexposed on the field because they're not being drafted every time. They pan out, especially if you get to the later rounds. Who knows how many people actually have them? So picking people like Noah Brown, pretty solid.
And then, so I'm sure we're going to end up just drafting marathons after BBM fills probably on Saturday. We'll have a few days left before the season starts. We still want to get a stream out every day. But I'm
Yeah,
thinking, imagine hitting on a Puka or like half a Puka or half a Kyron in a marathon type format where it's season long scoring and they're 1% picked in the contest. Like, what if you hit
exactly.
on, what if Noah Brown is just the best receiver ever and it just took Jaden Daniels to unlock him? Or,
Yeah.
I'd use Noah Brown, but any receiver that's going undrafted.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it goes like I think marathon that makes it even more exciting to do. Um,
Mhm.
just yeah, I think I love the marathon. I think it's probably my favorite contest.
I don't know why I'm not getting more marathons in on a Underdog. A lot of times I try to enter and it just doesn't fill, and my I can't pay attention long enough, so I just go and fire up a few on the other sites. But
Oh
I
yeah.
do want to get like 30 more marathons in. I wanted to get
What is it?
7
It's
more
only like
BBMs, but
50%. It's only like 50% filled or something like that. The marathon.
yeah. So we were talking about. I kind of thought it was going to overlay super hard, but now that we think that BBM's going to fill kind of early, I don't think it's going to overlay that much anymore because I'm sure they have to put out some kind of contest after BBM fills, but people are going to flock to the marathon and maybe it overlays 5 or 10%, but
Yeah.
it won't be more than the rig.
Yeah, I was say it's not going to be no 20, 30%. Ever.
No, that is happening on some of the other stuff going on. The
Yeah.
sprint might overlay 20%.
Ooh, okay. All
So
right.
for
Let's.
go ahead.
So we're up on the clock next, um, and good. He took Tony Pollard, so I don't have to make the decision.
I was gonna say I
Um,
would still just do it.
Lean Joku here. Get a little bit of correlation with Amari Cooper.
I like it. Are you gonna plan to take Deshaun later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been nervous about him lately. I'm still taking the Cleveland players, but I'm nervous about picking Deshaun.
It's tough. I think at that point where it's just like just got to take a stand sometimes, and it's like yeah, and it sucks because Jameis Winston's like I really like him, and so it's like I want him to succeed. I always like to see the little clips of him on Instagram and stuff, and it's like that could also be a guy like I know you talked about how you had your Justin Fields for a while, and you know round 18 pick. Could that also be like an 18 pick? Do you think? If you already
So,
have two quarterbacks.
it's tough. I've taken him in super flex a bunch, but in regular, it's just because like the chances Justin Fields is a zero is still kind of high.
Yeah,
And so it's like I'm willing to take that risk because I think the ceiling Justin Fields has, if he ends up getting some starts, is pretty high. I don't know what Jameis's ceiling is. I think he unlocks the ceiling for the Cleveland players more than Deshaun would, based on what we saw last season and what I'm hearing out of camp.
yeah, that's true. So yeah, I think it's an interesting strategy to pick. I think it just goes back to like one of those where he's probably not being drafted in 90% of the contest. I don't have the actual data on that, but uh, that could be a pick that if you hit on it would be a crazy pick.
BBM. There's a site that has this. I want to say, yeah, I can actually try and look this up right now. I bet Jameis
Okay.
Winston is 1% drafted in BBM, if not zero. What other quarterbacks? I mean, if you get like for me in this when I'm in this spot, I've been taking a lot of Brock Purdy lately because I'm taking so
Same
much
here.
Ayuk.
Yeah, definitely like Brock Purdy here. Uh, Probably should have even went with him over Curtis Samuel, but him and
I don't mind pushing it
well,
though, because if you like Curtis Samuel, I mean, if we miss out on Brock Purdy, Tua's still, I think, a really good option. I might even be tempted to double tap Brock Purdy and Tua since you're kind of strong at each of the positions already.
exactly. Yeah, I had yeah, and surprisingly, as I went back and looked, I thought I had very little Kirk Cousins. Turns out he was up there. I think he was sixth
Oh yeah, are you
quarterback.
taking him naked?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. I cannot do it. No,
Gotcha.
do not like that. And so I have a lot of other Falcons players as well. Just
Okay.
yeah, definitely, definitely interesting little combo there. But I don't know. I definitely don't like that. So I've been going out of my way to not take Kirk Cousins, or if I do take an lineup player, just skip Kirk completely.
I don't think I've ever taken him at ADP, and I'm probably close-ish to 8%. Just no one
Okay.
wants him. He'll fall 2, 3 rounds, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so weird. I guess. I guess they just don't like. I guess that offense is not that good.
Drake London's still going. I mean, he's falling actually. He was going like 13. Now I think he's closer to 17. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird because it's like yeah, Bijan. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and then after that, everyone just goes like round 18, round
Right.
15, whatever.
I kind
So,
of got in on Atlanta for a bit, but I'm back out.
yeah. All right. So, uh, so, all right, cool. So we got Purdy. So let's go ahead and get some Purdy action going on.
Feels pretty great.
I like that. Yeah. Get 5 picks past ADP.
Yeah, it'd be. Are you still gonna? Are you gonna shoot for Tua, or are you gonna just take someone else and take Deshaun later?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm high. I really like Brandon Cooks in this spot. Um, let me see. Yeah, I could probably reach for Deshaun, but I don't get Tyreek that often, so I might go with Tua just to complete the stack.
I like it.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I think if you can get one of these elite, like, tell me if this makes sense. If you're having one of these elite wide receivers, you're getting them 3, 4 because they score a lot of points. So therefore, their quarterback has to score a lot of points. And so if you can get someone in their quarterback in round 12 or 11, then they're going to score a lot of points. That's great for that round ADP.
Yeah, I feel that way the most strongly with guys like Garrett Wilson or Drake London. Like the whole point of them going that high is that their quarterback play is expected to be better. So I feel like we have to draft, Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins and Aaron Rodgers when we do that. But I'm looking at Tua's game log, and there's games where he had 300 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and put up 17 fantasy points.
Not good.
No, it's not good. And so I say that just I don't think it's a requirement to have Tua. I do think that he
Yeah,
has some of the best spike week potential in the NFL though, just because of how strong his offense is.
absolutely. Yeah, 100% agree on that. Um, let's see here. Cool. Yeah, so this is a pretty solid draft that we got going on here. Got a handful more picks, and I have my big in-person draft on Sunday. It's the league we've been doing, I think, for like 16 years or so, and so now I have to read about the strategy of when to pick the defense and the kicker.
Which site is it on?
No, my fantasy league,
Mhm. That's
and
what it's called.
it's like no, it's like a family and friends league. Um,
Or do you use ESPN or Yahoo?
no, we use my fantasy league.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's
I'm sure the ADPs are still not good like ESPN's are.
yeah, and then the best part is we have an auction draft afterwards, and
It's so fun.
but it's like halfway, it's like way late in the day, so everyone's already kind of inebriated, and someone will be like, "I'm going to waste half my salary on Tua or Tyreek or somebody crazy early," and then it's like, yeah, I just sit back and just take a nap for the first 6 rounds.
Oh man, I wanted to do auction for my home league this year, but we have to do an online draft this year for the first time. We can't get together. It's kind of
Oh
disappointing.
no, that sucks. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see people. It's usually for I would say about half of them. It's the only time we see them, but we
Yeah,
talk all the time online and stuff. But it's still good to see people in person.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and my league is people I went to high school with, so I've known these people for 20 years. Some of them.
Nice. Let me ask you a question. Back to Underdog. I hate having queued up stuff like for that's super far down the line on ADP. I have a notepad on the other screen of people that I want to take instead because I've been burned more times than I can count of trying to draft someone and then it's like crap. I just got auto drafted someone 70 picks before their ADP. And do you have that fear?
I don't do it. Yeah, the times that it's messed me up is much more than the times it benefits me. Because like with
Yeah,
Spike Week, it highlights it for me if I need to target a guy.
yeah, that's
But
true.
like, I think was it your brother that was telling us the other day he forgot he was in a draft and he drafted like 6 straight commanders.
If that happened to me, I did I did 10 straight Cardinal or I think 8 straight Cardinal players.
I don't even know if I have 8 Cardinals players in my exposures.
Yeah, it was bad, and I was just like, man, what? All right, let's
well,
see
well, go
here.
Kyler.
Yes. You thinking about any of these tight ends here, Byron Muth or Hawkinson? at all?
I'm pretty off both of them now.
Yeah,
Hawkinson I'll
same.
take if he's like 20 past ADP, but Fryermuth I was already off, and now the reports about him maybe being in a timeshare with Darnell Washington, which maybe it's
Yeah,
overblown and he's a value, but
yeah.
I'm
And
cool fading.
so I'm gonna go Josh Downs here. I kind of like Zeke here as well, but I think because I have three pretty solid running backs, wanted to get some more exposure to Josh Downs. If Zeke comes back, then I can take him.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, especially when I have three guys. I mean, Dave Montgomery's a 1B guy, but we have three starting running backs basically.
Mhm.
I think you can just take. I mean, are you going to probably go six running backs?
I don't think I have gone very many six running back slots.
Oh, you're doing a lot of five.
Yeah, a lot of
Okay.
five and a lot of four.
Okay. Yeah, with this kind of build, I'm going five. If I got like a Zeke, I'd be very comfortable going five.
Yeah, that's good. So we just didn't get Zeke. Do we go ahead and get? We talked about how bad the Atlanta team is. Do we get some Atlanta exposure here, Tyler Algier?
I can't stop clicking on Tyler Algier. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with any of these running backs. I probably have it
Yeah.
Algier, Hubbard, and then Dobbins, but Dobbins probably has the highest ceiling out of all of them. But he's only going to realize it 1% of the time. Sorry, Dobbins.
No worries. No worries. And yeah, so another guy that I had I think I was like level with the field on, but I still like Jahan Dotson. Now that he's on the Eagles, does that change your perspective with him at all?
I am actually willing to click on him now that he's on the Eagles, and this is a guy that I think I had 0% of before a couple days ago. Like actually
Okay.
0%, like zero clicks through 1,400 drafts, and it's with the idea that if Devontae Smith or AJ Brown misses some games,
Mhm.
he is basically the only guy that they have that can step up, and whether
Yeah,
he can get open or not, he's going to be on the field.
absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and we've seen him last season make some pretty decent plays, and so
Did he?
if he can
I don't even
continue
remember.
to yeah, maybe being in the Washington area, having being forced to watch all the Commanders games, you see the couple plays that he can make.
Well, this is interesting too. He's actually the biggest faller on the Occupy Fantasy ADP tracker this week.
Yeah,
He's down 14 spots, so
that's not good.
well, the field doesn't feel great about it. All the risers are like 17th, 16th, 17th, 14th, 18th round picks.
Yeah,
The next guy, Javante's up 3 spots. Rashi Rice is still up a couple spots, but it's all these last round guys that are coming up in the last week.
yeah. I mean, sorting by ADP change on the Occupy Underdog ADP tracker, we have the Luke McCaffrey up 17 spots. The we have McCaffrey at home meme, and Yami Brown. So two Washington players over 10, and then Kamani Beetle for the Chargers. Those are the only three players that in the last week have changed 10 or more ADP spots. Does that say anything about Washington themselves, or do you think it's more just about the specific players and it's just kind of how it felt?
Well, I think that was how, because it was like who's a wide receiver too, but now that
Yeah,
Noah Brown got to town, I'd expect these to dip a little bit in the next week. I mean, I don't know how
yeah,
long BBM is going to be open for, but I don't think we should be drafting, not Diami Brown at least. If you want to take shots on Luke McCaffrey, that's probably okay.
yeah. That's fair. Let's see. So can Deshaun Watson hold? Now, would you be comfortable taking Watson here with to get three quarterbacks while you still only have four running backs?
I could go either way here. Yeah, this is a spot where I'd be comfortable with two quarterbacks, but if you want that double stack, and Cleveland plays Miami in week 17, don't they? Is
I think so.
that right?
Uh,
Still don't know the week 17 matchups.
Come on, Cleveland. Yeah,
Yeah,
they do. They play Miami.
yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't know. I couldn't remember if they played Cincinnati or Miami. Cincinnati's Week 16. So I'm gonna go to Deshaun Watson. Pair off the correlation with Miami, with Tyreek, Amari Cooper, and Njoku. So I
And
like that
Tua.
pick there. And
Yeah.
Tua, yeah.
And then do you have an idea of the last running back you're going to target? Are you going to save it for one of these new guys we got in the 18th round?
Uh, let's see. Pulling up the screen here, looking at some running backs. anyone that's doing some high changes on that? Maybe. So I like to do this. Maybe I am just being uh, just following the trends, but pick somebody quick. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna go Dotson, and I think that's gonna round out my receiver stairs.
Nice.
So I do like him, but I'll take a look at ADP change on the Occupy Fantasy website, and if there's a guy who's in round 16, 17, like running back, wide receiver, whatever to pick, if they're starting to creep out, I'll just take them, just following what some of the public's doing. Maybe there's something that I missed in reading notes or something like that, but I mean, there's a reason why some of these guys are trending upwards. And if it's last round picks, I need a guy. I'll just load that up. And so, for example, like Tank Bigsby is up 8 spots, and he's still going round 16. So maybe that's a guy I'll target.
I'm pretty happy to start doing that after maybe even starting in the 15th round. I don't really care
Mhm.
about ADP anymore. Just get my guys
Yeah,
and move on.
absolutely. Yeah.
Three
I
picks left. Hmm.
drafted on the other screen.
You have a draft going on the other screen?
No, I said to you. You said, "Oh, 3 picks left."
Oh no, you have 3 picks left. I have
Yeah,
like
yeah,
12
yeah.
minutes in a slow draft that I've been staring at for 20 minutes.
Nice. Yeah, fun times.
What are you thinking about at tight end?
Uh, None of these look particularly great. Um, and you have any thought about like Juwan Johnson or I think these probably waited a little too long. But maybe like Juwan Johnson. It's kind of like my current favorite of these groups here.
Yeah, for me too. I think Jawan Johnson is easily number one, and then Jonnu Smith I like taking shots on, especially when you have Tua. And then
Yeah,
Tucker Craft feels like a safe third tight end when I don't have a good first tight end.
hmm that's
I
fair. Yeah,
I don't know if he's safe, but feels that way.
safe. Air quotes. So another guy that's been pulling up the rankings a little bit. I guess he's still going around 16, but uh, he was listed as a starting wide receiver, Yoshi for the Bengals, and I'm glad that I've been taking him still quite a bit. So uh, I don't think I won't get to him this draft, but definitely a guy in those late rounds that I'm taking. I mean, if you can get a starter the last round, I think that's kind of like a no-brainer.
You said Yoshi in the staff chat earlier, and I had no idea who that was.
Do you still not know who it is?
It's Yoshivas, right?
Yeah, Fish Fuzz,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get it till you said it right now, but I'm taking him and Burton. Been kind of just flipping a coin
Mhm.
each time. I'm pretty happy with either one.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, let's see here. So cool. So we got the second tight end, Johnu Smith. I think I want to go just to make sure we don't get sniped on him for the next round. I think I'm gonna take Tank Bisbee here.
Okay.
12. No real bye week concerns there, assuming no one takes him.
Did the sound cut out? My sound? Is that my sound? Uh-oh. Okay, there you go. Oh, I think we're losing Moose for a second, freezing up. I don't know if you can hear me, Moose, but you are. Oh, see you, Moose. Well, it's nothing to look at because Moose had the draft. So I guess let's open up Reddit Fantasy Football and read the newest news. Oh, what's up, Eric? Thanks for joining us, man. 925 Sports in the chat. Our very own Eric Polzine. Up. Yoshivas, one of your highest owned players on DK, going in about the last round. Yeah, I don't hate it. All right, so Moose is lightning just came and took my internet out. That's what Moose just said to me. So we might be cutting this draft short. I'm sure Moose will post a finished team into Discord if he finishes it on his phone. I'm gonna wait another minute just in case we can get him back. Okay, actually, Moose said we're done. So appreciate you guys joining us. I apologize for that happening. It's act of nature, nothing we can do. But we will be back tomorrow for at least 2 streams. Maybe it's last day BBM's open. We got to get some in. So appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't signed up for Underdog Fantasy yet, you can use the code Occupy 2, and they'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. Best promotion in fantasy sports. If you need any more information on that, let me know. But we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next time.